I'm waiting for the outside to feel less scary.
I'm waiting for a time when I can hug my grandparents again.
I'm waiting to feel safe around other people.
I'm waiting for a time when I don't have to live in fear of getting sick.
In spring of 2020, COVID still felt distant to me.
It was in another country.
A different state.
Another town.
Another school.
Another family.
It was an invisible force. It had no face. And because of that, even though I was cautious,
Staying apart.
Wearing masks. Washing hands.
I wasn't truly afraid. Until that invisible force took the shape of my dad and my brother when they both tested positive on the same day.
Now, COVID has the face of more than 171 million people around the world.
My mom.
My grandparents.
My sister. My best friend.
My art teacher.
My dad and my brother. I thought of my house and every object they had ever touched. I was too nervous to be close to them. I avoided them at all costs. And I felt like a bad sister and a bad daughter.
But they were sick, and I was scared.
I used hand sanitizer like I needed it to survive. It didn't matter that I hadn't touched anything.
My hands became dry. My cuticles cracked and bled.
I was paranoid. I kept thinking if I touch the wrong doorknob, I will get COVID.
Now, 12 months later, physically my dad and my brother have recovered. But emotionally, I have not. I'm still afraid.
I'm not used to being alone. I don't think I'm built for it. I used to live on a planet filled with life, with so many faces I could never remember them all. Now my own voice echoes in empty rooms.
If I could go back in time and talk to myself 1 year ago, I would have a lot to say.
Remember how you always wanted school to be different?
A year ago, on March 12th of 2020, you were released from school.
Just know you're gonna regret not giving your classmates a formal goodbye.
Because even though everyone expected to return, you will not.
I would offer my past self some advice.
Throughout quarantine, you'll end up burning out a couple of times.
So make sure to take many breaks and be okay with not being completely perfect.
If I could talk to my past self, I would tell me to appreciate my friendships. Do not let go of the people that truly care about you. And value your relationship.
Before the shutdown, I rarely saw my family. Then the shutdown happened, and then nothing happened. And in that pause, my values shifted. I was able to see my parents for more than an hour a week. And my dog. He's 10 years old, and I wasn't spending any time with him. During that time at home, I decided what was important. and then I left. I had just discovered that I actually had parents and a dog and a little sister this whole time, and I was loving them all. And then I left. I left to study abroad. I knew exactly what I was doing. I got on a plane and went to Korea. Where they had already flattened the curve and COVID restrictions had been lifted. I could just go out and live. While everything was shutting down in America, I was in Korea, living, studying, going out, and meeting new people. I felt so guilty. My friends and family were dealing with the pandemic, and I just left.
How does distance impact the way we feel about decisions?
How has the pandemic raised the stakes of our decisions?
Before I went to college in the fall of 2020, I always wore my mask. The first couple weeks of college in person, I was afraid of eating in dining halls, going to events to meet people, and walking around campus with thousands of other students. But as the weeks went by and I didn't get COVID and we weren't sent home, my fear decreased. I wasn't reckless, I just lowered my guard a little bit. For my birthday, I had planned on hanging out with my friends. But 3 days before, my roommate got a call.
I've been contact traced for COVID-19.
I realized that because I was with people who acted like everything was normal, it made me feel like I was invincible.
We scheduled ourselves for tests the next morning.
Both our tests were negative. Relief settled over me, but the fear and reality that I could get sick stayed with me.
We double masked, took our food from dining halls, and didn't see our friends.
I was scared and sad and just felt guilty and selfish that I hadn't been as careful as I could have. I was heartbroken, but also grateful that something had woken me up and brought me back to reality.
How do the people around us impact the way that we feel about our actions?
How does our environment determine our behavior?
And how do we make day-to-day decisions without knowing what comes next?
A year ago, I thought I knew what I wanted in 5 years. Go to college. Get a job. Buy a car. And live with one roommate instead of 7.
I even knew what I wanted out of life.
Get married.
Buy a house.
Have a couple of children.
Set up a 401k.
Pay off my student debt.
Retire and move someplace warm.
I thought I knew what the next year was going to look like. But now, I don't even know what tomorrow is going to look like. Now, I look one day at a time. And I'm okay with that.
It's been a million years since quarantine began. Every day has felt like the same cycle repeating itself. And yet, somehow, everything has changed.
The world has changed.
There's the whole COVID-19 quarantine, pandemic, masks, social distancing, 6 feet apart thing.
Our country has changed.
A presidential election,
Black Lives Matter protests, and social reform.
A second presidential impeachment. Second.
An insurrection.
And our lives have changed.
We've had virtual school,
Quarantined holidays and honk and wave birthdays.
Family reunions on Zoom.
But also, we have changed.
I have changed.
Making friends is different now. It's harder.
Computer, charger, headphones. Check. Deep breath.
Online school looks like
a tidy, organized virtual classroom where only our names are recognizable. Names of people who I want to meet.
School looks like a silent, desolate classroom, filled with the lone face and voice of the teacher.
A teacher who feels like they're talking to no one.
No one dares show their face. And if they don't,
Why should I?
When Blackboard added new emojis in December, it felt like a big deal because it was another way to express ourselves.
And when Blackboard added bold and italics, we could finally stress what we wanted in a sentence.
Blackboard is an app that allows students to view content and participate in school virtually.
School looks like the steady stream of messages pouring into the chat, non-stop, until suddenly
The chat is turned off, and we can no longer communicate.
Lonely,
Useless.
Angry, flustered,
helpless,
silence, alone again.
In my room.
In my room. In my room.
School looks like a day inside, sneaking glances at the sun and the world outside whenever I have a chance.
School looks like holding the same cramped position in the same small space, hovering over the same computer on the same strict schedule.
Sound coming from everywhere in my house.
Unable to focus.
Unable to learn.
Unable to speak. Unable to.
Unable to!
Unable to see my classmates' faces. School looks like
A tidy, organized virtual classroom.
Where only our names are recognizable.
names of people I don't know, but who someday I want to meet.
I'm running through the names and faces I'm supposed to know. Black rectangles and stolen voices, laughter, silence, babies crying, spouses talking, siblings fighting, wind and trucks and school bells ringing. I realize I used to know my classmates' faces. I realize I used to know only first names. I realize how much everything's changed. I realize. I'm walking through the halls and rooms that I used to know. Hardwood chairs and creaky hinges, laughter, silence, students crying, teachers talking, too much quiet, windy trucks and school bells ringing. Names and faces, they don't fit together anymore. Black rectangles and stolen voices, I don't know who they are. If I pass by your face in the hall, they don't fit together
First day in a new school can be nerve-wracking and exciting.
New teachers.
New building.
A first day in a new school, online, that's a totally different experience.
Our new teachers live in a screen.
Our new classmates are names and faces on a computer.
And we've never even been in the building.
How do you prepare for your first day in a new school when you have no idea what to expect?
It's 7:00 a.m. on my first day of school, and my whole family's excited. I'm as slow as a sloth, but I'm getting ready anyway. I'm nervous. I pick out my outfit and eat my breakfast, and I think about what's going to happen on my first day of middle school.
I get dressed.
Brush my teeth. Set up my space. My mom and dad come with me to turn on my computer and log in for the first time. It takes forever.
You're going to be late.
I have to restart my computer with only 3 minutes to spare.
Class is about to start.
My entire family is getting nervous and frustrated. Even after it starts, it takes an eternity to load. And finally, I click on the link only to find...
Ugh, no!
Even after getting up early, I'm still 5 minutes late to the first class on the first day of middle school.
My first day of school was September 8th. It felt a bit scary and new. This was a new school with people I had never met. As I looked on the names on the screen, it was hard for me to believe that these were my teachers and classmates that I was going to be with until 7th grade.
When I was in elementary school, I thought middle school would be lockers and changing classes.
I thought I would have tons of homework and meet a lot of new people.
I wouldn't have any time, and I would have homework on the weekends.
I pictured myself playing at recess with my friends. Reality check, there is no recess. I'm the oldest, so I don't have any siblings that know what middle school is like. I hear things from my friends, but no one has the same experience. As soon as we started to do school virtually, it got harder and harder for me to imagine what middle school would be like.
I'm a 6th grader. I haven't ever been to middle school. I've only ever gone virtually, so I can't relate to any 7th or 8th grader.
I think that COVID has made 6th graders miss out on their first middle school adventure.
Meanwhile, it feels like I'm still in elementary school, just with harder work.
At least we 7th graders got to have 7 months of a normal school year before the pandemic created chaos. We got to hug our friends and to live life without a mask.
When I started middle school, I realized no one turns their camera on. Like, ever. I would have been happy to, but I felt awkward. I didn't want to be the only one, so I kept mine off.
Nobody did it because nobody did it.
It's like a cycle. People don't interact because they feel awkward.
And people feel awkward because they don't interact.
But I'm scared my class participation grade might drop. I don't turn on my camera or my mic because I don't feel comfortable. Especially if I don't know anybody in the class.
It's so quiet. Like, I want to be friends with everybody. I just want to see people when I talk to them. I want to talk to them.
I just don't want to be the first one.
What happens when one person or even 2 people take a risk and turn on their cameras?
How does it impact our class experience?
Hi friends, welcome to Pandemic Problems, planning for a virtual life with
London,
Autumn, Lucy. Before we begin, if you haven't yet, click on subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our amazing tips and tricks for the school year.
Today we're talking about how to be your best self on Zoom.
You don't want to be mistaken for something you're not. Let's begin.
Do I look like I stayed up all night?
Are my glasses dirty?
Can my pajamas pass as a shirt?
What about my hair? Let's get started.
Step 1. Decide what impression you want to make.
What is your Zoom persona? I want people to think I'm happy, smart, pulled together, and mature.
I want teachers to think I'm helpful, thoughtful, caring, engaged, and reliable.
Step 2. Set your Zoom face. What are people going to see?
It's all about here up.
Tip. Sitting up straight, it makes you look like you haven't been up all night.
Make sure your hair is done.
And wear a shirt that makes you feel confident.
Now that your Zoom face is ready, let's go to step 3.
Your Zoom space.
Good lighting make a big difference.
You'll want to minimize background noise. Make sure your door is closed.
Oh, and also, don't forget your headphones.
Clean up the area around your laptop. It has to be nice and clean. And I always make sure I clear the pens and notebooks off my bed too.
I hope these tips and tricks have helped you feel more confident so you can be your best self on Zoom. Tell us how much you like us in the comments.
Bye!
Even though we have some control over how we appear on camera, we can't always control the technology.
How do we express ourselves despite the limitations?
At school, we are often supposed to be muted. Some classes are silent unless someone is answering a question, so we've had to find different ways to convey how we feel.
We need to do more to physically show that we're listening. We can't just nod, we have to nod and lean in.
I find that I am smiling a lot more to show that I am there, that I am listening, or that I care.
Because we can't talk much in school, we find ways to express our personalities where we can, like through our profile pictures.
Or the posters in our background.
If I see someone with anime posters in their background or wearing an anime backpack, I know we have something in common and I'll go chat them.
We even express ourselves through our light.
When we find out what we have in common with each other, then we can reach out and do things together.
This year, a 7th grader made a Discord server for other Robinson 7th graders.
A Discord server is an app that allows users to create invite-only virtual spaces that are organized into topic-based channels where users can collaborate, share, and just talk about their day.
It is over 100 people meeting through video games and other servers.
A thing I've learned over the quarantine period is that it's really easy to fall out of touch with people. So we came up with the idea of virtual sleepovers. On Saturday nights, the 5 of us would meet on a Zoom call. These virtual sleepovers made it feel like things were out of quarantine, that things were normal.
Between school, friends, and family, so many things and people are trying to get my attention. It's so overwhelming. How can I focus?
There's Gmail alerts. I get 20 emails a day from school.
And then there's notifications from text, Snapchat, Discord, and WhatsApp.
The sound of my piano lessons.
My friend's voice in my headphones as we work on a school project together. Wait, so what part did you say you were going to do again?
My puppy barking.
There's my brother yelling down the stairs.
Dinner's ready.
I'm coming!
The sound of my little brother's class saying goodbye to each other.
Bye! Bye! Bye!
And then there are little brothers and sisters playing in the next room.
COVID for me has been a lot of noise all at once.
You're muted. You there?
Wait, where did you say the assignment was?
Whatever you're doing upstairs. I'm late. I had to reset the Wi-Fi.
And then absolute silence. And then noise all at once over again.
We're loud, Dad.
I just posted a new video.
Want to play Among Us?
Call me.
Can you look at my paper?
There's no in between.
What challenges are unique to learning virtually?
How can teachers help us navigate the challenges of learning at home?
Teachers are responsible for more than just developing our academic skills. They are also responsible for our emotional and social well-being. This is extremely difficult to do when we're not all in the same building together.
I think the first couple of weeks, they were the longest weeks of my life because everything I planned pretty much didn't work. Teachers have to be adaptive and they have to be kind of like think quick on their feet. But I also had to be okay with things not going according to plan and just sort of coming up with some time to kind of bond with them, even if it was just like talking and having them share or play a game.
For example, our PE teacher uses class time to let us get to know each other.
For our first assignment, he asked us to share 4 facts about ourselves on a PowerPoint slide.
Hi, my name is Kaylee and I like pretty rocks. I am planning on playing football in high school and I have a pet hamster. I also really enjoy playing Minecraft.
I realize I might never have the chance to meet my classmates. But because our PE teacher gave us the assignment to share information about ourselves, now when I go to other classes and see their profile pictures, I know something about them. They aren't strangers anymore.
That's Jordan. He plays the trumpet.
At Jefferson Academy, one of the ways the teachers and the principal try to build community is through community meeting. We celebrate culture, we talk about things that are going on in the world.
We get COVID updates.
Talk about George Floyd.
The insurrection.
The LGBTQ+ movement.
Lunar New Year and other important cultural holidays.
One of the good things about community meeting is it fosters social interaction. We can play games, we can compete with each other. We talk about how we feel, And then just everything so it's calm and everybody can just take a break from school sometimes.
We really found that we needed a space for our students, our families, ourselves to come together and have a safe space where we could process the things that we were experiencing. And community meeting was a great way for us to create that space, for us to express our feelings and have discussions and talk about what was going on. That being said, community meeting was also a really wonderful place for us to come together and experience joy. We celebrated birthdays, we celebrated holidays, we even celebrated Lunar New Year together this year for the first time, which was amazing. And we played games and had fun together. We got to learn about each other's pets. And so community meeting really lived up to its name in creating this amazing sense of community.
I think they really want us to participate and know that they're there for us.
The teachers are trying. They're putting a lot of work into it. I think they want us to have structure and to have fun.
All right, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Second Grade Science. I have my 21 co-hosts here, but my co-host Penelope is here to help me out so we can talk about habitats today. Can anyone remind me of one thing we learned about habitats yesterday? Okay, well, don't make me do it. Nobody remembers anything about habitats? Penelope, maybe you remember something. Thank you.
It's where an animal lives.
Let's give her a cheer. Or should we say,
nailed it?
Thank you. It was really important to make sure that they didn't feel like they were wrong or it was their fault. This is not normal school, so it's okay if it doesn't work. Don't get frustrated if you can't figure it out. We're going to figure it out together.
Backpack, mask, hand sanitizer, check. Computer, charger, headphones, check. Deep breath. Through the front doors.
In a concurrent classroom, the teacher is teaching one group of students in person while simultaneously teaching another group of students online.
Concurrent learning looks like
teachers saying something to the students in the room and then turning on their mics to speak to the students at home.
Hearing in-person students laughing and not knowing what they're laughing about.
It's friends talking and joking and playing during the breaks between classes.
It's at-home students eating, dancing, singing, drawing, watching TV, knitting, playing, making art, doing crafts, pacing, fidgeting, and doing anything that they need to focus and get their work done.
It is teachers and students doing something impossible and then coming back the next day to do it again.
I recently went back into the school building to film back-to-school safety videos for the administration. It was the first time I'd been back there since the shutdown. And as I walked through those familiar hallways, I saw this bright red bench right outside the Black Box Theater.
Where I sat nervously for auditions.
Where I placed my backpack after school.
Where I studied my lines.
When I saw it bright red and waiting there, I just wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. I missed that bench so much. It had been so long. I had adapted so quickly to not being at school, not being in theater class, not having in-person auditions or in-person anything. I guess I just didn't realize how much I missed that bench until I saw it there.
The Thorough Library holds a special place in my heart. It was my safe place where I didn't feel anxious or vulnerable. I hung out there every day before school. I'd sit at the same table and see the same familiar faces. The library was a sanctuary for me, where I could sit quietly by myself and think.
I could borrow a fantasy book and escape from reality.
A history book, and pretend I was living in a different time.
a science fiction book and travel to the stars and beyond.
I could be at peace.
I got closer and closer to the computer screen. I couldn't help myself. I'd assumed in-person students wouldn't have access to the library. I was jealous. I was envious of the in-person students. I pictured them going to the library and easily checking out books like we used to before we went home. I wanted to scream and shout about how unfair it was.
What I know now, I wish I knew then.
I wish I knew I would never be able to eat lunch with my friends.
Before COVID, I remember hating school cafeterias.
But I completely undervalued what made the cafeteria so special.
Being able to sit with my friends, laugh, and play games. It was so easy to just sit down across from someone and have a conversation.
I still wish it was that easy to maintain connections.
Backpack, mask, hand sanitizer, check. Computer, charger, headphones, check. Instrument, homework. Snack, deep breath. Hey, the halls are crowded.
The first day of school was in April. That's when some of us started going to school 4 days a week in person. We used to be divided by halves of the alphabet, now the whole alphabet in the same room. I think we've been adaptable.
This week, the vaccine got approved for 12 to 15-year-olds. I'm 15, and pretty much all of my friends who are 16 or older have been vaccinated. I was worried that I was going to be one of the only people in my grade who wasn't vaccinated, and I was pretty worried about when I was going to be able to get it. But the fact that it's approved for my age group now, and I've been able to schedule an appointment so quickly makes me hopeful for the next few months and for the rest of the pandemic.
Today is May 14th, 2021. I'm going to get my COVID-19 vaccine. I'm excited because I really want to get vaccinated. It's a 5-week process. I'm getting my first dose today. I'll wait 3 weeks and get my second one and then wait another 2 weeks. So,
Okay, so I'm getting the vaccine today. We're leaving in like 10 minutes, and I am terrified because I'm terrified of needles. But I'm also really excited.
I am at the beach.
I just got my first dose of vaccine, so I'm halfway vaccinated. So, yep, now I'm halfway vaccinated.
I just got the vaccine and it barely hurt. I was really excited and it was a little nervous. Overall, it went well. And I'm really glad to have it, and I'm excited for the second dose.
So it's been about 6 hours since I got the shot, and I feel fine. My arm hurt quite a lot for the first like 45 minutes, and then it kind of faded away. Kind of hasn't like sunk in completely, I think. It just feels good to have it like over with and done. Side effects have kicked in. I feel super bad. I mostly feel achy and shaky. Yeah, achy and shaky. That sums it up. I'm finally starting to feel a bit better. I am still tired and kind of achy. But other than that, and still like a little nauseous, but otherwise I am I'm doing better. I am feeling a lot better. I'm pretty much completely set. I have like a little bit of sensitivity in my arms still, but otherwise I am doing great, and I can finally just enjoy the fact that I'm vaccinated and that I'll be immune in 2 weeks.
I am
officially fully vaccinated today. It's kind of weird because I expected to feel like this immediate relief or something like that. My mom told me she felt an immediate relief even after her first dose. But I think what it's made me realize is that what started off as my fear of going places or seeing people because I was afraid of getting sick or getting other people sick has turned into this fear of going places or seeing people just generally. I think I have really fallen into a new sense of normal, and just the thought of going back to school and being with people 6 hours a day terrifies me. Like, that is so scary. I have no idea how I did that, and I am so scared to go back in the fall. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Going to school has always been really difficult for me, and so finding out it was virtual was actually a relief. New school-wide accommodations were also put into place, like extended deadlines and cumulative grades. Even though I personally already had certain accommodations, when I was still physically going to school, they weren't enough. No one, not even me, seemed to know what I needed. I just wish that those accommodations had been made available before the pandemic. I feel like this pandemic has been really eye-opening for me and people like me about what we need to do our best and succeed. And I'm worried that when everything goes back to normal, we'll be left behind again.
After high school,
I went to college.
I went to college.
I went to college. I went to college.
I got really sick. While all of my friends went to college, I had to stay home in order to heal. I couldn't stick to my plan of going to school and studying theater, while everyone else was moving forward. I was stuck in the same place. One gap year became gap years. 3 years passed before I finally had the strength to audition for a show. We began rehearsals in the spring of 2020. We only performed the show twice before it closed. The whole city shut down, and suddenly it was like I was stuck once again. But this time, everyone was stuck with me. When I was healing, I was alone, and I had to learn to sit with myself for long periods of time. But with all of us stuck together, there was an opportunity to connect in a way we didn't before.
Right now, we are over 1 year into the COVID-19 pandemic, and many of us are experiencing some kind of grief and all the emotions that go with it.
Everyone's experiencing COVID differently. Everyone grieves differently. When you're grieving, it's like you're driving on a winding road.
A rocky road.
A road to nowhere. You don't know the terrain, and navigating can be confusing.
How do I get through this?
What is the roadmap for grief?
One of the things that was helpful in the beginning was sharing memories of my dad, rather than talking about his death or how he died. My dad, Chuck, was a leader. When I was a kid, I drew a kiddish drawing of a house, and he started building a house using that drawing. He just did because he wanted to. When my dad first died, my counselor gave me this book. It explained the 5 stages of grief denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. It actually made me really mad because I wasn't experiencing everything in it. I wondered, am I doing it right? Am I normal?
Grief is collective, and it can also be very individual.
I really only held my brother once before he died because I was so scared. Sometimes I still think of my brother Makai. I have a box, and whenever I have an achievement, I put something in there for him and he gets it. It's like a mailbox to heaven. And sometimes when I put something on top of it, it falls. It's like he's playing in my room. I didn't really know how to process it because I was young and I wasn't really sure what to do. It's hard to navigate something you've never done before. How do we make rooms for our emotions and each other?
My mom was always there for me when I was sad or upset. One night, I was upset because I was going to my dad's house, where I live now. She said, "We're going to take bits of our hearts and trade them so that you'll always have bits of my heart and I'll always have bits of your heart." We used to watch a bunch of movies together, and I keep finding movies that I used to watch with my mom, and I'll have no idea that I watched them with her until the movie starts and I'm getting all the details, and I start to think, I've watched this before, and it's comforting.
How do you grieve when everyone else around you is also grieving?
There's no single roadmap for grief, and no one should make one because it's based on your personality and your relationship to the person. You have to find your new normal. You're drawing your own map. You're plotting your own course. How can we help each other find our own ways?
A year ago, I wish I knew how long this would last.
I wish I knew that this would become the new normal.
I wish I knew there'd be moments I'd remember and cherish, along with the not-so-great ones.
Discovering new hobbies?
Not being able to see my best friend or even say goodbye to her.
This will not last 4 weeks.
Or even 4 months.
Allow yourself to be unproductive, exhausted, and upset.
Your own mindset is going to be your biggest challenge.
This next year is going to be frustrating and nerve-wracking.
Allow yourself to be angry and take breaks.
But then move forward.
Because hope will be the only thing that will get you through this.
There are a lot of things up in the air right now. Just try your best to navigate through them.
I'm not used to being alone. I don't think I'm built for it. I used to live on a planet filled with life, with so many faces I could never remember them all. Now my own voice echoes in empty rooms. They say you'll never be lonely if you enjoy your own company, and it's not that I don't. The issue is this: identity is like geometry. It's a matter of solving. Where do you start? Where do you end? Where are your hard lines and where do you bend? What does it take for you to become something else entirely? I've never been good at geometry. I was always one for shortcuts, cutting corners. There are tricks. See, if you can't find a point, find it in relation to the ones around it. Who am I in relation to other people? And that's easier. But there always comes a problem where the shortcuts won't cut it. I'm alone in this world with a stranger, so familiar that I cannot solve her shapes and edges. No, there are no shortcuts left, no corners to cut. I have to do things the hard way now. Maybe it'll be worth it.
I'm waiting for spontaneous adventures.
I'm waiting to use everything I have learned during this pandemic.
I'm waiting to be a part of what comes next.
I used to ride my bike every day.
made me feel more alive. But lately I just find myself sitting and staring, getting left behind. I can't think about the future without my head wobbling off and wandering away. Everyone is moving in hyperspeed. Think I'm stuck in delay. I need a change in pace. I don't think life is going my way. I miss the days when all I wanted was to be old and gray. Now all I want is yesterday. I used to sit out on my back porch almost every day. And Mom and I would talk for hours and hours. Now I'm afraid to go outside. Every time I go out into the world, I feel like I'm underwater. But even inside, I can't stand to bear it, 'cause I can't stand to be a bother. I need a change in pace. I don't think life is going